In this video, we're going to demonstrate the functionality of Byrne's Bluebeam to-Accela integration. This integration supports both Bluebeam projects and Bluebeam sessions. This demonstration is going to go over the sessions version, as we find that's the more popular option. In this example, I have a new commercial permit where we have 3 files that are uploaded. 2 are plans, a floor plan and a framing plan, that are categorized as floor plan and other plans. And then the third is an application form. For our system, we wouldn't expect to need to analyze that application form or review it in Bluebeam. So our Bluebeam solution allows you to pick and choose which categories you want to opt in to then bring those documents over to Bluebeam. The trigger for opening up the Bluebeam session is going through the workflow. You can configure your workflow and your Bluebeam settings to point to a status that can be used throughout the workflow to open and close Bluebeam sessions. In the Bluebeam opening and closing trigger, we can either call it Open Bluebeam Session, or in our configuration of Bluebeam, we can call it whatever we want that matches your business process. So if you wanted it to have it fire off on routed for review, or you have maybe different statuses for different workflows, you'd have that option. In this example, we just kept it simple, and we have an open Bluebeam session and a closed Bluebeam session. And we have those triggers throughout our workflow, so it's not isolated to a single workflow task. When you choose to open the Bluebeam session, it's going to look for any contacts that are already assigned to open tasks, as well as an overall administrative account, and it's going to add that information, open a new session up in Bluebeam with those users. On this screen, I have Bluebeam Studio open, and I just logged in, and I currently don't have any active sessions, but when I refresh after adding my workflow session, you can see that my record ID will come in with the same record that we had from Accela, and it will tell us the record type, and it will give us a session ID. That session ID is then automatically populated on a field within the data fields of the record. So if your team needs to review this, or even share this ID and invite other people into that session, they'll have the ability to do so even if that individual is not an Accela user. When we go into the record, you can see here we have just these 2 documents that came over. Now, as I said earlier, on the documents we can flag what types come over into Bluebeam. So I've tagged floor plan and other plans as being types that I want to opt into Bluebeam. The application form is not something my team needs to review, so based on that category and the settings I've put into Accela, it knows not to bring that over. You can see here when we first upload a document, it comes in with a status of uploaded. But as soon as we open up that Bluebeam session, it updates your document status to in review. If you have some other reviewers, as you can see here, we have our user, which is me logged in as Amber. We've got our administrator account, which is Charlie, who's logged in. And maybe we want to add some additional users within the project. So here, if I move the workflow on to then route for more reviewers, and maybe I'll want to have my utilities department review. I can add a department, and if you don't have a user defaulted, If you add in an assignment after the fact, it will pick up those assignments. So as I assign this user, when I come back into my session, you can see that now Amy has been assigned. She's currently not online, but if she hops online, I'll be able to see in the session that she is online and making edits. As staff is reviewing the documents, they'll be able to open it up in Bluebeam and utilize the various Bluebeam functions for marking up and even creating comments. Here I'm going to just add a couple of sample updates. And then I'm going to go ahead and exit out. So here I've just updated the framing plan, but maybe I actually want to save my comments. So here if I do create a summary, and there's lots of different options within Bluebeam to create templates or make your own look and feel to your summary, but I'm just going to use the basic out of the box here. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to upload that to my project. So you can upload additional documents, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be a summary. If you have other supporting PDFs that you want to include, you can do that as well and add it to the list of documents. All added documents will come back to Accela. Once I'm done here, I can close out of my files. You can see here I still have my project listed. And once all the reviews are done, and maybe I have my plan coordination, or I can even put statuses to close out of the Bluebeam session from within my review tasks. In this case, we just have it in our plans coordination, where I'm going to choose to close that Bluebeam session. When you close the Bluebeam session, it will automatically remove that session from any active contacts views. So you'll want to make sure that everyone has had a chance to review before closing. Once that's closed, when I go back to the documents, you can see that it preserves the original documents that were uploaded, but then any reviewed documents, it's going to go ahead and make a flattened version of the uploaded files and append that with reviewed, or you can customize whatever that term is in your settings. So here you can see it not only returned my document, but it flattened my comments. So they'll be able to see visually what was marked up and be able to download those, as well as if you had added a summary report, they'll be able to view those as well, as that gets added automatically to the record. We also have our system go into the data fields and remove that session ID. Now that session is closed. Now in the event of this scenario where we have some documents, we're expecting some revisions, and we want to go back through a review, we can add additional documents once those revisions come in, and it will then give you the opportunity to open up a new session for those revisions. So in this scenario, I'm going to include that my revisions are required, so it's going to send me back through the workflow for plans distribution, where I can wait for the applicant to upload a revised set of plans or documents. In this example, you can see that I have my new framing plan uploaded, and I'm actually utilizing the virtual folders to show that it's a revision 1. So in some instances, the system will allow you to use the same names, and sometimes virtual folders can help identify revisions or a distinction between the two similarly named files. You'll also notice that once I completed my previous review, it automatically uploaded the document status to review complete. Now it did that based on our integration, but if you find that maybe I need to send this floor plan through review again, you do have the ability to update that status. So if you wanted it to be a part of your Bluebeam session again, I can put it back to an uploaded status, and it will grab anything that's marked as uploaded, but leave anything marked as review complete, or even something that's a category that we wouldn't expect to review in Bluebeam, and not have those transfer over to the new Bluebeam session. So here I've got my framing plan R1, but I have my original floor plan that I want to make sure I review at the same time. I've got the 2 that can be uploaded. I'm going to go back to my workflow and choose to open my Bluebeam session again. Once that Bluebeam session opens again, you can see here if I refresh my screen, now I see that same project in there, but I've got a new ID, so it will open a new session. And then again, you can opt in or invite any additional users to that session, either through the workflow, or you do have the ability to invite people directly from that project. So the session opens up with rights to opt in external users for review. And as you can see here, my floor plan transferred over. So this was the original floor plan that I had, that I chose to change that option to uploaded so that it would then process that. And now I have my framing plan, and it appends the virtual folder name. So I can see that's my framing plan R1. And again, I can make comments just as I would, or if everything looks good, I might want to stamp it as approved. Back in Accela, I'm just going to go ahead and close these out and exit so you can see the main screen. In Accela, if everything looks good and we decide to close the Bluebeam session, again, it will go back, it will flatten any markups. In that scenario, I didn't add an additional summary, I just marked that that was approved. It will remove the session ID, and then you can continue to work through your workflow to close that out or to mark that things are completed. In the documents, you can see now I have this R1 framing plan was reviewed, and I can then see my approved stamp as that document is flattened back onto the record. It will also show that that review is complete. You can see here that original floor plan, it just flipped that to review complete as well. And that concludes our demonstration with our Bluebeam integration. You can configure this for any module, for any record type, and you can incorporate a variety of different settings for your workflow. There is a component for Bluebeam settings that an admin or an advanced power user staff member with access can go in and set that up. And Byrne works with you as far as best practices and working with those settings. If you have any questions, feel free to visit our website at byrnesoftware.com, Government Services. There you'll find information on custom solutions as you scroll down. And you'll find our Bluebeam integration, which will show you our product sheet on everything that that integration does. And if you have any questions, you can call us directly at the number shown on the screen.